over Virginia. Great to have you along. We are going to New York City, Everyday Cafe Hotline. We're going to talk to a guy who's president and CEO of Agency Athlete, a division of Player Press, LLC, and he is the founder and CEO of Player Press and responsible for all things that are agencyathlete.com. Hey, John, how are you, man?
Hey, Matt, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, I appreciate you answered my email right away, and you probably thought I needed representation, which I probably do. But anyway, it's great to have you. And you came out of American University. We talked about that in the email, the Washington, D.C. How did you get into the agency business, John? How did it first start?
Basically, one of my good friends played on the Giants, and I had an idea, and after he retired, he needed something to do. So I pitched him this idea, and he invested a little bit of money into the agency, and then he got a couple of other NFL players to invest some money, and we basically took it from there. So I've been lucky that I've grown up with some contacts, friends that play in the league now, and I've been able to leverage those contacts and try to launch this business and take it to the next level.
John Hernandez, our guest, who is president and CEO of Agency Athlete, a division of Player Press. We'll get into more of the marketing in just a little bit. But John, I do want to ask you this: has the agency family, the brethren, has it taken a little bit of a hit because of the Carolina story?
Definitely. I mean, the agent business has taken a hit left and right. It's a really tough business, and that's why we see an opportunity in this business, because we work with a lot of pro athletes, and a lot of these agents aren't serving these athletes well in regard to marketing, client management, just services. We have not been impressed with a lot of the agencies that we deal with, so we felt that there was an opportunity to strike and kind of launch a boutique agency where we treat everybody like family. And that might sound a little cliche-ish, but it's basically, that's kind of our motto, because if you do treat these guys with family and do take care of them, then you're not going to have any problems that you're seeing right now.
John Hernandez, who is the president of the Agency Athlete and a division of Player Press with us, and we're going to talk about the marketing of these guys and how it happens in the recruiting. But it is, in the recruiting process, I know, as you pointed out, cannot be easy, and you really have to follow a lot of steps, especially on the college side, don't you?
Totally. I mean, there's so many rules and regulations, especially if you're working in some of the big sports, that it's really tough, and you have to be careful. And that's why we found other opportunities, maybe looking away from NFL, NBA, and focusing on MMA, the fighting world, UFC. It's kind of wide open, and there's not as many regulations for agents and stuff. So we're finding more opportunities in that world with less hassle.
What has been the, you bring up a great thing. I think we have an MMA coming to Charlottesville. Believe it or not, this guy who owns the ice park is going to put up a floor and a cage, and they're bringing MMA to Charlottesville in a big event. Why has that exploded the way it has, John?
I think people are getting tired of boxing. I'm a big boxing fan myself, and I've been waiting for Pacquiao-Mayweather to fight for several years now. And people want that big fight, but that fight isn't happening right now. Eventually it will happen, but people are tired of waiting for these big fights and the corruption within boxing. And I think MMA basically kind of slipped through and is overpassing boxing right now. And they're really, Dana White, who runs UFC, has really built an impressive operation over there.
He is president and CEO, Agency Athlete, a division of Player Press, LLC. John Hernandez, Everyday Cafe Hotline from New York. Well, John, let's talk now about the marketing side and these guys. I'm an athlete. I'm coming out of college. We've gone through all the steps. I want to sign with you. What are the questions that the kids are asking you, like, and how much can you do for me right away?
A lot of guys are really into social media right now, so they're always asking, about Twitter, Facebook. Can you get me a website? Can I sell merchandise on my site? They're asking for different endorsement opportunities. They're also asking on how to set up charities and how to position themselves with those charities. So what we try to do is when we bring in a client, we create a roadmap for them, and we analyze all the different aspects of their life, their hobbies, what charities they want to get into, and then we do a positioning paper and how we're going to position their brand. And the brand really starts off with a website. It sounds really small, but it does. It starts off with with a website. It builds into Twitter, Facebook. We build up that foundation, and we use that as a beachhead to secure other opportunities. But the key is to make sure that the athlete is going to have consistent engagement with the fans. Because you can have a website, you can have a star athlete, but if he's not blogging, doing video blogs, tweeting, using Facebook, using all the forms of communication available, then it's kind of useless. We can't do much for a guy that's not going to participate in the program that we have outlined for him. So it really does start with the website, and it builds from there. And, the great thing is like I was reading the other day, Under Armour's CEO, Kevin Plank, they asked him what was the first thing that he looks at when considering athletes for endorsements. And he said one of the first things he looks at is the number of Facebook followers and the number of Twitter followers that an athlete has, because that really gives him a snapshot of his brand right away. And that's why we try to leverage that and then create opportunities based on that social media.
So John Hernandez, our guest, Everyday Cafe Hotline, who is president and CEO of Agency Athlete and a division of Player Press. They've got a lot of guys. So believe it or not, as simple as it sounds, Facebook and Twitter are two of the top things that you guys look at and say, hey, if you're treating your fans right, we're going to be able to get you what you want.
Basically. And the great thing about Twitter is, like, we get all our guys blogging. It's important for us to get them blogging on their sites so their fans can have that direct communication, kind of like outside the helmet, what they do in their lives. For instance, today is very busy for us. It's the off day in the NFL. So a lot of our NFL guys are writing their blogs right now, sending it to us to post on their websites. Once we get them up on the websites, we communicate with all local media in that market. The media starts picking it up. They start linking it on their blogs and newspapers and stuff, and it kind of just steamrolls from there. But it really does just start off with what we can do in social media, because that's the quickest and fastest way we can get a player's brand out there and start building it from there.
That's we started to do it too, and I guess I'm old school, and I'm thinking, but it's amazing how many people get back to us just from me letting people know on Facebook what we're doing with the show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same strategy that we use for athletes that we also help businesses with. Businesses need to have that exposure in the social media world, and it really can work out well for them. A lot of businesses are like, well, why should I use Twitter and Facebook? You can literally create opportunities on both those mediums.
That's where we are now. I mean, that's where it's come. John Hernandez, our guest, Everyday Cafe Hotline from New York, president and CEO, Agency Athlete, a division of Player Press. So, John, on the other hand, then you get a guy, you're signing okay. Now you're going to work with the, with corporate America. How do you make it fit? How do you make it work for both sides?
Well, basically, our sales team will go out there and try to look for different opportunities for an athlete. So let's say maybe we've got a guy in the Charlotte market. We may approach like Charlotte auto dealerships and try to get him some local endorsement opportunities first. Try to get some money in the door, keep him happy, get him some local exposure in his market, and then we'll keep building him up with that local exposure, and then we'll try to hit some of the big boys and try to get him some sort of national play. If the athlete isn't, let's say, a big name and some of the national advertisers aren't really interested in him, then we may take his charity and position him and bundle it up with the charity and try to get some play that way through national media. But there's all different ways that we try to make it happen for these guys.
Yeah, and I guess just trying to find the right hole, trying to find the right fit. I mean, you're trying to find the fit that where it works, right? I mean, that's what you're.
Totally. I mean, you can't put a certain player that may have a bad reputation, with a blue chip brand that may not want to be associated with that reputation. So you definitely have to be careful of where to position guys, and it's really on a case-by-case basis, because we really do analyze our client and figure out what's the best positioning for him, because we don't want to waste our time knocking on some doors of brands that aren't even going to deal with this guy, and we don't want to waste our clients' time either. And we also want to manage expectations. That's very important as well, because a lot of times these athletes come in with some grandiose ideas that they're going to make millions of dollars selling T-shirts on their website, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah, Everyday Cafe Hotline. He is John Hernandez, who is president, CEO, agencyathlete.com is where you can find a lot of information in his clients, too. We'll talk about D'Angelo Hall here in just a second, who happens to be one of the clients. So we're going to get into in this show in the next couple of days, and I'm starting to talk about it today, about the offshoot websites and maybe the dead spins. And, I mean, how much of the Favre story was true, we don't know.
Yep.
What about damage control, John? With maybe let's say Deadspin as an example, and you're representing whoever, and Deadspin writes or does a story that just is totally, to be false, to be it's not right. Do you guys have to worry about damage control quite a bit?